Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the 12 Ounce Sports Update live here on 12ouncesports.com and Dingo TV channel 217. Happy Monday, everybody. September the 9th, 2024. A lot going on in the world of sports this weekend. Of course, football ruling the roost. Opening weekend of the NFL Thursday night. We had that thriller with Kansas City and Baltimore, which the Chiefs won. And then Friday night down in Sao Paulo, Brazil, in that fiasco there as Green Bay lost to Philadelphia 31-26. And then, of course, it was Sunday, a full day of action in the NFL. Upsets ruled day one. What about Cincinnati hosting New England? How many of you were like me that took them in a survivor pool and you're out already? Cincinnati losing at home as Gerard Mayo gets his opening coaching victory on the road in Cincinnati in the jungle, 16-10. And how about Atlanta against Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh winning with 6 field goals. They had a change at quarterback right before the start of the game as Russell Wilson unable to go. Justin Fields came in and did enough as he got the Pittsburgh offense in position to win. Of course, the hero of that game, Boswell, was 6 field goals. And Atlanta, they didn't look too good. Kirk Cousins back from his Achilles injury. Looked anemic at best, as well as Atlanta falls in that one. So Atlanta is 0-1. How about the Chicago Bears? Caleb Williams, he won his opener, but it really wasn't anything to do with him. How about that Chicago defense getting a pick six, one of the craziest looking passes that I've ever seen, one of the dumbest passes. Will Levis made that pass for a pick six for the go-ahead score for the Chicago Bears. They got a block punt. I mean, they had everything go their way at Soldier Field. The Chicago Bears are in first place, or at least a first place tie at home, as they are tied with Detroit and Minnesota. How about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills? They had a shootout with the Arizona Cardinals as the Cardinals came to town. They had a lead for a while in that one, but Josh Allen, he accounted for 4 touchdowns in that opening game win for the Buffalo Bills. They win 34-28. They survive Arizona. And Jacksonville took on Miami. Jacksonville was up 17-7 in this one, looking to drive. It looked like they were about to go up 24-7. Travis Etienne with the fumble into the end zone. And then lo and behold, it was Tyreek Hill. He had a little motivation in that game, an 80-yard touchdown grab on a go route. All of a sudden it was 17-14. Miami would go on to win on a last-second field goal, winning that one, going away. So there you go. Texas, they humbled and we'll get back. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong one there. Sorry about that graphic. Let's go to the Texans. I thought that meant the Houston Texans. They took on Indianapolis. Houston might be for real, everybody. They went into Indianapolis on the road opening day and beat Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. That was a tough game for them. Good win for Houston. They take on Chicago next Monday night. New Orleans, they crushed Carolina. I don't know what I was thinking on that one. I thought maybe Carolina would show a little bit of gumption on the road. I think New Orleans scored on the first 7 possessions. They were up 37-0 or something crazy like that. 47-10, a monster win for the New Orleans Saints over Carolina. The Vikings, you talk about a humiliating game. How about for the New York Giants? What about those uniforms, too? It looked like the Montreal Canadiens and the Michigan Wolverines had a baby with those uniforms. The winged helmet and the Canadian look. Boy, New York better burn those jerseys because they did them absolutely no good. How about Sam Darnold? A resurrection. He's got some weapons there in Minnesota. Not a bad quarterback when he's got a few weapons. He had absolutely nothing with the Jets. Served as a backup in San Francisco. He's going to be the man this year as J.J. McCarthy's out for the year. And they took care of the New York Giants, and then some, 28-6. What a huge win for the Minnesota Vikings. They're 1-0, as we mentioned. Dallas, they're next up. They took on Cleveland. Dallas's quarterback, Dak Prescott, the richest player in NFL history, 4 years, $240 million. It was the battle of the overpaid quarterbacks. The only reason I say Dak Prescott's overrated, he may be able to change that. They win a couple of playoff games, but he went up against Deshaun Watson. And boy, Dallas flexed their muscle, didn't they? Their defense, 6 sacks, a couple of interceptions, punt return for a touchdown. They had it going on and then some. 33-17, a big win for the Cowboys a last-second meaningless touchdown to get that to 50 points for the Browns. And things are not looking good in Cleveland. A lot of unhappy Cleveland Brown fans, that's for sure. Hey, and if we take a quick look here, I think that's it for all the NFL scores we've got going around. We talked about the Patriots. We talked about the Jaguars and the Dolphins. Yeah, the Raiders. How about the Raiders and the Chargers? Jim Harbaugh, his coaching debut for the Los Angeles Chargers. Kind of an ugly game there, but the Chargers win by the score of 22-10. They get the victory in their home opener, if you will, against the Las Vegas Raiders. And also, we'll talk about the Seattle Seahawks taking on Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. How about Seattle coming back? They had to hang on for dear life as they won that one by 6, 26-20. Denver had a chance. Watch out for Bo Nix. I think he might be pretty good in a Denver uniform. And, of course, the game of the night, culminating night one, I should say. We still have got Monday Night Football tonight. But, of course, it was Detroit and it was L.A. Detroit jumped out to a 17-3 lead. Then they lost that lead. Matt Stafford looked amazing last night. He had a couple of Matt Stafford-like throws, including the one at halftime, the interception in the end zone, which could have been costly. Detroit wins this one in overtime, though. They're able to get a tying field goal by the rookie kicker, Jake Bates, from 32 yards out. They win the toss. They go into overtime, 20-20. They get down first and goal. Let's hear the winning touchdown, courtesy of the Detroit Lions Sports Network and 97.1 The Ticket.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes. This game is over! Pack it up, boys, we're going home! An opening night victory for the Lions! They come from behind in the final minute and tie it. They take the ball in overtime and march 70 yards down the field and win it. Two teams will meet out in the middle of the field to say job well done. Job better done on this night by your Detroit Lions. 26-20, the final score. How big is that?
Indeed. Dan Miller
takes the
Dan
snap,
Miller.
turns,
Jesus.
How about
Had
that?
no servants, yet they called him master.
Of course, I blew it up. How about that? Dan Miller, Detroit Sports Network, again with the call on that overtime thriller. The Lions, 26. The Rams 20. Something tells me these two teams are going to be playing somewhere down the road in late January in the playoffs, because those are two of the best teams in the NFL. And tonight, of course, it's going to be the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers. The Jets right now a 4-point dog on the road. I know in my Captain Lou six-pack challenge, I picked the San Francisco 49ers to cover that spread. I think it was 4.5 at the time. Now it's down to 4. It's going to be a good game there. Aaron Rodgers in his return after his Achilles injury. We'll have to keep an eye on that as well. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little college football and more. You're watching the 12-Ounce Sports Update, courtesy of 12-Ounce Sports and Dingo TV, Channel 217. And don't forget, we are your ticket source for all your tickets coming up for week number 2 in the NFL, the Major League Baseball pennant drive, and, of course, college football and more. We are tickets.12ouncesports.com. We are a ticket broker. You won't see some of those crazy fees on some of the secondary markets that are out there. Go to tickets.12ouncesports.com. All right. As we talked about, college football took center stage on Saturday. Texas, Michigan at the Big House. Texas owned the Big House. They humiliated and humbled the defending national champions, going away 32-12. I'll tell you what, Texas looks for real. They're ranked number 2 in the country right now, behind Georgia. 6 teams out of the SEC right now are ranked in the top 10. Georgia leading the way, of course, Ohio State in there, along with Penn State, Miami, and, of course, Oregon. So 6 teams out of the SEC in the top 10, that being Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Tennessee. So big win for Texas over the weekend. How about Northern Illinois with that stunner over Notre Dame? We talked about Notre Dame's schedule kind of being a little on the easy side. They might want to keep that easy schedule. They're going to have to regroup now. Their college football playoff hopes are in jeopardy when you've got a loss like this against Northern Illinois at home. I think it's going to be tough for the committee to allow them to get in unless they can beat a team like USC. Should USC keep their run going, they're playing pretty good this year as well, but they're going to head into Big Ten play here shortly. So again, Texas humbling Michigan this past weekend, number 3 against number 10. Michigan down to number 17. Not sure that they're even the 17th best team in the land as Texas beat them going away. And watch out for the Longhorns. They're looking pretty good, that's for sure. All right, Major League Baseball here as we're coming into the pennant drive coming up in the last 3 weeks of the year. And in the American League East, the New York Yankees again with a half-game lead over the Baltimore Orioles. They're going back and forth for the top spot in the American League East. Baltimore with the number 1 wild card seed. In the Central, Cleveland holding a 2.5-game lead over the Kansas City Royals. Kansas City is 2.5 games over the Minnesota Twins. They swept a weekend set with the Twinkies. Detroit 8.5 back, but more importantly, now only 3.5 games back of the Minnesota Twins for that third and final playoff spot in a wild card. In the West, Houston with a 4.5 game lead on the Mariners. The Mariners are tied with the Tigers, chasing that last wild card spot in the American League. In the National League, the Phillies again up 7 over the Mets and the Braves. Both those teams tied for the last wild card spot. In the Central, the Milwaukee Brewers with a 9-game lead over the Cubs, 10 over the St. Louis Cardinals. Pretty comfortable of a lead there with 3 weeks to go. The Dodgers with a 6-game lead over the Padres, 6.5 over the Diamondbacks. The Padres and the Diamondbacks both hold that last or that first and second wild card position. Yeah, okay, a big weekend again, as we mentioned in the NFL. Some big upsets as we talked about, as the Cincinnati Bengals, they lost on the opening day to the New England Patriots in Gerard Mayo's debut. And of course, the Los Angeles Chargers and Coach Jim Harbaugh's NFL reappearance, if you will, his debut with the Chargers. They win over the Vegas Raiders 22-10. Some big wins, statement wins for the Cowboys over the Browns. A statement could be made either way. Again, the Vikings with a huge win over the New York Giants on the road. Love that win. Overtime win for the Detroit Lions in a rematch of the playoffs of last year. The opening round of the playoffs came down to overtime when it looked like the Rams were going to maybe pull this one out. First and goal at the 1. Couldn't make it on first down. Then they got a couple of penalties on the first one on the end around where there was a holding call and then a false start penalty. They had to settle for a field goal. The Lions took advantage of it, were able to tie it in regulation, and then the winning touchdown on that drive that would make Chuck Knox and everybody else that played football in the 60s and 70s proud. A ground and pound, 7 out of 8 rushing attempts on that drive and a 1-yard touchdown run by David Montgomery. All right, don't forget tonight's windup of week 1 in the NFL is going to be the New York Jets traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. 49ers a 4-point favorite as of right now. Go to BetAG if you want to try to, or BetUS.ag rather, if you want to place a bet on that one as well. It could be a dandy game. Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson for the Jets, and of course Brock Purdy, Brendan Ayuk, Dabo Sweeney, you name it, Christian McCaffrey, cast of characters for the 49ers. Don't forget Breece Hall for the New York Jets. All right, that's going to do it for another 12-ounce sports update here on this Monday, September the 9th. Don't forget to join me tomorrow for another Captain Lou's Champions of Sports History, 7 o'clock p.m. We're going to take a look at the San Francisco 49er dynasty of the 1980s, and I'll have my latest Captain Lou extravaganza Wednesday night at 7 o'clock right here on 12-ounce sports. Our next sports update will be Wednesday at 6:30 with the Godfather, Jeff Beck. And, of course, he'll have all the latest going on in the world of sports. All right, everybody, this reminder, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and, as always, keep your minds open. Until next time, Captain Lou saying so long.